Uh, Good morning, colleagues. You're welcome to another wonderful day of academic exploration. Uh, I think last week we have completed the chapter on organizational control, power, and all the rest. I think we are now entering into the final chapter of your semester work, and of course, topic covering organizational culture, organizational climate, and of course, organizational change. So, this morning we will start with organizational culture, which is part of the last topics in your learner guide. Now, when we talk about culture, we're talking in its broader sense. Our understanding of workplace culture or organizational culture is that it embodies the ethos, which is of course philosophy and belief and values of a particular organization. The philosophies, the belief of a particular organization, which are expressed through ways of its operations or the way it operates and its practices. If the latter are deemed to be wrong, then the former need to be addressed in order for any issue to be resolved effectively. Anything else would be superficial, shallow, change, and unlikely to have a lasting impact on the organization. So that is according to Johnson, why giving a kind of context to organizational culture. Now we'll progress. Now, before we dive deep into organizational culture, it is very, very important that we talk a little bit on organizational development. Now, what do we mean by organizational development, or what is organizational development all about? Organizational development, which is also known as OD in management, is concerned with attempt to improve the overall performance and effectiveness of an organization. So the attempt of OB is to improve the performance. You see, we have been talking about performance. Also under control, we spoke about performance. To improve the overall performance and effectiveness of an organization. So an applied OD is an applied behavioral science. Can you see? An applied behavioral science approach to plan change or to plan for change. Can you see? To plan change and development of an organization. Can you see? So the main purpose of OB is to get the organization ready for possible change. You can see now the world is experiencing a lot of changes, with regards to the COVID-19 and so many things we are seeing today. Can you see? So organizational development prepares an organization. Can you see? Prepares an organization ahead of change. Can you see? Most especially when the change is planned. In terms of the COVID-19 anyway, the change is unplanned. It's a kind of natural issue or natural pandemic. Because it is not planned. We just woke up to hear about a pandemic, and today everybody's wearing face masks, everybody's using hand gloves, everybody's washing their hand every minute. So some of these are not planned. And some of these may not be within the orbit of OD, organizational development. Organizational development is predicting or forecasting possible changes that may take place in the near future and plan for it. Can you see? Hence, it is called organizational development. Two major central topics of organizational development are, of course, organizational culture and, in fact, organizational change. Let's take a look of in terms of the true meaning of organizational culture or organizational culture defined. Organizational culture is the collection of traditions, values, policies, belief, attitudes that constitute a pervasive, can you say, context for everything we do and think in an organization. Can you see? That is according to McLean. Can you see? He said, organizational culture simply means a collection of traditions, values, policies, beliefs, and attitude that constitute a general, pervasive context for everything we do and think in an organization. Is that clear? That is the definition of organizational culture. Now we have to move to the next one, which is, of course, trying to relate organizational culture and organizational change. One thing we must know is that culture can be a hindrance to organizational change, as well as culture can be a stimulant to organizational change. So it depends on our culture. Our culture, our embedded culture, can even make us to resist change. Can you see? But also, there are also certain culture within an organization that can make an organization to be willing to embrace change. And of course, an organization and its member to be willing to embrace change or new dynamics within the external environment. Can you see? So let us look at some discussion here. Organizational capacity to change. That is in the middle of the diagram there. Organizational capacity to change. The diagram there. Then, if you look critically in terms of the capacity of an organization to change, then you can, of course, see there attitude to criticisms. What is the attitude of people within the organization to criticism, or even attitude of the manager within an organization to criticism? So if the manager is somebody who accepts or willing to take criticism, definitely there will be willingness to change if need be. Then, of course, degree of management's openness to new idea. That is another issue there. So if the management is open and willing, open to new idea, especially from below, then definitely the organization will be an organization that we want to embrace change when it comes, But if the management is not open in terms of getting new idea from subordinate, certainly the management itself may be an impediment to change. Then another aspect is attitude to conflict. Can you see? What is the attitude to conflict? Like I told you when we did the topic on conflict management, that sometimes we can even trigger conflict, we can even encourage conflict, but of course we must watch conflict. Can you see? So in other words, conflict can even bring about new things, can even bring about change, can even bring about new ideas. Can you see? So but there are managers that doesn't want conflict, they don't want opposition. But there are managers that want, okay, come with your idea. There are managers that want to hear discerning views, can you see? Or divergent perspectives in terms of whatever they are doing. So these are managers that may be willing to embrace change, can you see? If within an organization there is no divergent perspective, everybody is thinking straight, certainly change may not actually result within that particular organization. Then the next one is degree of willingness to discuss sensitive issues openly. Can you see? The degree of willingness of a manager to discuss sensitive issues openly can at least lead to some changes, or can prepare an organization in terms of embracing change. But of course, if there's no willingness to discuss sensitive issue, we continue to push sensitive issue to a raining day. When it gets to that climax, it can actually destroy the organization. So our willingness to discuss issues that evolve or issues that surface within every day of our working life, will actually enable some members of the organization to embrace and appreciate change. Then another one is degree to which organization structures facilitate change. Can you see? The degree to which organization structure facilitate change. In other words, our organizational structure must not be too rigid that we cannot embrace change. Can you see? Our organization structure should be as much as possible flexible. Can you see? So that when change comes, we can always adapt, or we can always be able to meet the dynamics of change. Can you see? So the degree to which organizational structure facilitates change can also enable an organization to embrace change. If the organizational structure is flexible to embrace change, certainly people within the organization will be willing to embrace change. But if the structure of the organization is rigid, then it will be difficult to embrace change. And another thing there is a degree of willingness to give people autonomy and support them in their action. Okay, you see the degree of autonomy. And when we spoke about delegation, I spoke about issues of autonomy, giving power to subordinate to execute some of the tasks. And in fact, by giving people alternative, you can see that opportunity to take decision. You can see that new innovations, new initiative may even start coming from the subordinate or from the lower employees. Can you see? So the degree of willingness to give autonomy and support to support your employees in terms of executing their action can bring about change and can make an organization or prepare an organization to embrace change when it does come. Then another one there is attitude to experimentation in processes and products. Can you see? Attitude to experimentation and processes and products, Attitude, giving people opportunity to experiment, to come with new ideas, to innovate, to try new things, to think out of the box. I think such organization will be an organization that will be willing to embrace change. But if you are the organization that confine people to just think within the bounded rationality of an organization, certainly the organization may not be able to embrace change when it comes. Can you see? There are some organizations that believe that people should just think only rational. But also there are instances where intuition can work and move the organization ahead. Can you see? So that is one aspect of it. If organization allow employees to be intuitive sometime in terms of decision making, certainly such organization may be willing to embrace change. Unlike organization that say you must do it A, B, C. This is how we do things. You cannot change. Such organization may be reluctant or may not be able to embrace change as fast as possible. Then, of course, attitude to sharing information. What is the attitude to sharing information? If information is widely shared within the organization, there is no hurdle or impediment to information sharing. Certainly, such organization will be, in fact, a change organization. It will be an organization that will be willing to embrace change. But if there is constraint in terms of information sharing, if there is hindrance in terms of information sharing, then certainly such organization may not be able to embrace change as quick as possible, because there will be a lot of resistance to change as a result of information hurdles or information restriction. Then another aspect is attitude. Okay, we have spoken about attitude to criticism. So if we have more of this, if we embrace some of this concept, certainly we may be able to embrace change willingly without hindrances. But if the opposite is the case, then certainly there will be a lot of challenges in terms of embracing changes or change as fast as possible. Is that clear? Fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll progress. The next aspect in terms of our topic is going to be the level of artifacts. Can you see? The level of artifacts in terms of organization. Level of artifacts. Can you see? Level of culture. Sorry, level of culture within an organization. According to Shane, from the shallowest to the deepest, levels of culture are manifested through three different type of concept or construct, through three different levels. The first level in terms of culture is, of course, the artifact level. Artifacts level. That is, artifact level actually reflects the culture of an organization through their physical space, the layouts, the technological outputs, or the technologies that are used within that organization, written and spoken language, overt behaviors of members of group. Can you see? Artifact level is those things, those cultural aspects within an organization that we can see with our naked eyes, we can perceive. That is why you see physical space of an organization and their layout. We can see that. For instance, if you are driving past any part of the city, you will see McDonald's. You can see their structure with the big M overboard. You say, oh, that is McDonald's there. And of course, if you are driving, you can see Spar. You can say, oh, that is Spar. Can you see? Because they have their structure. And the McDonald's structure cannot be the same structure of Spar. And of course, KFC structure cannot be the same structure in terms of their structure and of course in terms of their layouts. Can you see? So they have different structure. That is the one we can see physically. Can you see? Physical space and of course the layout within the organization. And of course, the technology used within that organization, the kind of technology, what did they use in terms of delivering the deliverables to customers, to clients, and all the rest. Can you see? So that will also reflect in terms of their culture, and that comes on the artifact aspect of culture. Then the next one, output. What are their kind of output? For instance, the retail organization will deliver outputs that are already produced. And of course, productive organization will deliver productive product. And of course, service organization will deliver services to the public. Can you see? So the output will make us to know, okay, this is within the what they do in terms of their artifact. Written and spoken language. Can you see? Written and spoken language. What they normally write in terms of their mission statement, their spoken language, how they address their clients, how they address their customers. Can you see? Different organizations have different ways of approaching people, different ways they address people, different ways they speak, and different ways they retain their customers. Can you see? And of course, overt behavior of group of people. Can you see? Overt behavior of group of people. You can go to some organization, everybody seems to look like a gentleman when they're in that organization. But come and look at them outside the organization. You see that some of them are actually ragamuffins. Can you see? So that is the different aspect, within the organization. That culture has made them to exhibit certain behavior that is within the organizational culture. Can you see? So, and they need to exhibit that. And of course, we have the next level of culture, which is, of course, what is referred to as espoused. Can you see? Espoused value. Espoused value is actually beliefs, which become part of the conceptual process by which group members justify actions and behavior. Can you see? Beliefs. Over the years, the way people behave, the way our leaders believe, the way our leaders behave, becomes a kind of belief system within an organization. and it becomes part of the conceptual process by which group members justify action and behavior. Can you see? Like you can see some people saying, okay, this is how we do it here, something of that nature. It's a belief system. It's something that have become part of their conceptual thinking process, that this is how things are done here. So those are espoused values, belief which become part of the conceptual process by which group members justify actions and behaviors. The last one there is basic underlying assumptions. Basic underlying assumption is actually, after so many years of believing and wanting, it becomes part of you. Can you see? It becomes a kind of unconsciously learned responses. Can you see? You act because it becomes implicit in you. Can you see? It becomes implicit in you. Can you see? So that is basic underlying assumption. So that is the third level in terms of levels of culture according to Shane. All right, we'll progress. Now, levels of culture also reflected according to Shane. You can see there the first circle there, the first circle on top there is the artifacts and creation. Can you see? Under artifact and creation, you can see what we see there, rites and ceremonies, the ceremonies within the organization. Now you can see there symbols, symbol of an organization. What symbolizes that we can just see and perceive? And of course, tattoos, the tattoos of the organization. What they place as some of their tattoos, some organizations can use that. And of course, another aspect is the taboos. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable within that particular organization. That comes under artifact and creation. And of course, the myths and stories behind that particular organization. That also comes under artifact and creation. And of course, the language people use within that organization. That comes also under artifact, where you can say, oh, if you go to that organization, the way they speak, the way they talk to people, very peaceful, very succulent. Can you say? So that can also inspire you to also visit that organization. And of course, the norms within that organization. That can also be something to take you to that organization. Then the next one there is values and belief. The blue circle there. Values and belief. What are the values and belief within an organization? Some of the things you can see in terms of values and belief can be honesty within a particular organization, basis of reward, how people are rewarded within that organization in terms of values and belief, efforts that is required within that organization falls under values and beliefs. Then, of course, trust relationship within that organization also falls under values and belief. Then you can look in the middle of the circle there. That is, of course, the basic assumption of the organization, which is, of course, the basis on which individuals are respected within that organization, the basis of the firm's ability to compete within the general environment comes under the basic assumption. Whether competition or collaboration between individuals is the most desirable mode of behavior within an organization. How and by whom decisions should be made. Can you see? All this forms part of the basic assumption. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we'll stop for now. I will continue after the break with other topic, the next topic, which will be types of organizational culture. So have a wonderful morning, and we'll continue after some break. Thanks. Bye.